Welcome to Track Tested Motorsports. My name is Jag. This is Boris, also known as the Croatian Stig, or aka the Professor. And the point of this channel is to help anyone that's thinking about going to the track, or a beginner, intermediate, advanced. Once you're an advanced student, you're trying to figure out what's the next level. You can become an instructor, like Boris has done for a long period of time, or get into amateur racing, which he has also done. And what we're going to try to do is go through the beginning or the basics of, hey, how do I even sign up for a track event, to, what's car preparation, what gear do I need, to also understanding the driving line. And and all this is based on our experiences over time. And you may have other instructors that give you different pointers, which is quite okay. We all have our certain type of instructions that we get that differ from one another. And also we may do some car reviews depending on how this goes, but more track oriented than day-to-day driving. With that, my name is Jag, and I've been going to the track for about 4 years, and then that all came to a stop once I went overseas to work, and I'm trying to get back into it. And that's where I met Boris 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was my instructor in 2010, and he's the first instructor that gave me homework. So I knew there was something special about that. And now I'm trying to I haven't been to a track event in 6 years. I'm trying to get back. And I said, hey, Boris, let's go through some notes, get me up to speed, since it's been a while, so it's almost starting at a novice position or beginner level for me. Because there's so much that you learn at the track, and the old saying goes, you lose it, you don't use it, you lose it. Hey, Boris, why don't you give us an introduction of yourself?
All right. So I came to the United States back in 1970 and fell in love with all the cars that were in abundance here in this country, and especially the sports cars. My dad liked sports cars, so that probably had something to do with it. But I like all cars, muscle cars included. And so when I had the opportunity and I had some funds, I started getting involved in motorsports first as an autocrosser in a big parking lot. And one thing led to another. Went from Solo 2, which is autocross in a parking lot, to Solo 1, which is a warm-up lap, a hot lap, and a cool-down lap on the track. And that was so much more fun that I just fell in love with that sport of going to the track. So I started doing track events, and eventually became an instructor. And which is how I met Jag. He was my student back in 2010. I treasure this T-shirt. And then I had an opportunity to do some amateur racing, and I did a couple of Lemons races, and I did 3 seasons in Chump Car and 2 seasons in World Racing League. And then grandkids came along, and I don't think you mentioned it, but Jag is now my son-in-law. That's a great story. We can do a long episode on that, but it's a really awesome story. And so I'm really fortunate to have a son-in-law like him, not only because of the grandkids, but also we're both passionate about performance cars and track driving and motorsports. So it was really his idea, but I jumped right on it. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun sharing our experiences with you, and help you be more prepared and be able to enjoy the sport of driving and the cars than you would be able to otherwise.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I'm trying to get back to the track. I would consider myself a bit higher than a noob level, newbie. But I asked Boris to kind of walk me through things, and I figured, hey, others may get a benefit out of it. And Boris has students all over the country, and he can now instruct his students to come check out particular videos to get up to speed. And if there's a topic you want us to cover, you can reach us, Twitter, Insta, hit us up and let us know what you want to see next. But first of all, let's start out for the first one, Boris. Why should anyone go to a track event?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And there are many reasons why one should, and maybe there's a couple why they shouldn't. We're only going to cover maybe the top 5 today. Trying to keep these videos fairly short. The number one reason is fun. You know, if we're not having fun doing something, then what's the point of doing it right? So fun is the main reason. And if you like cars, you'll find out that you'll have a lot more fun at the track because you're going to see the cars in motion, as opposed to just sitting still in a parking lot like you would at Cars and Coffee. You get an opportunity to drive your own car on the track, and it's actually safer. Safety is another thing you'll hear us talking a lot about. It's actually safer to drive on the track than it is on public roads these days.
Yeah, and for me, like my first thing, which is okay if that's your priority, we all have, different goals. My one was just to go fast. I bought a car that's Motorsports branded, and you can't test that on public roads. So, my goal was to go fast. And, one thing I learned is you can't get the full or understand the full benefit of the car on public roads, right? To understand how the car handles on the track. And one thing I learned is once you go fast, there's actually other ways to get faster, and that's through the turns. Like I was just going fast in a straight line, and I just hit the tip of the iceberg, and there's so much knowledge before, and that's something I really enjoyed about going to a track event.
And we'll talk a lot about turns in subsequent episodes. So fun is certainly the key factor there. Learning, driving on the track is more challenging because the speeds are much higher. There's a lot to learn. Bottom line, there's a lot to learn on the track, and there's a lot to learn before you go. That's going to help you have more fun and learn more and be safer while you're at the track.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I learned is even do basic mechanical jobs on my car. This is going to be news to Boris, but the first track event I went to, I didn't even take any tools with me. I actually had to pay somebody to change my brake pads. So now I can do some of that basic stuff, change pads, change fluids, and what happens is you actually enjoy working on your car. Now I'm not gonna, do valve adjustment on my car, I just don't have the time, but you learn the basic stuff. So it'll save you money along the way as you continue to get faster and faster because you will go through brake pads quite a bit.
And those are all excellent points, and we'll cover car maintenance and car preparation for track in subsequent videos as well. So another reason is, perhaps the biggest reason to me are the people. At first, I gotta admit, it was all about the cars and the track and going fast. I think that's typical of most of us. But after you do it for a while, you realize that you meet some really great people there. Drivers especially. In a parking lot, anybody can talk about how fast they are or how much horsepower their car has or whatever. But the track really separates the truth from just the talk. And I met some of the most important people in my life. Certainly Jag is one of them. He's a perfect example. But I have, and he knows this too, I have a lot of great friends that I've met at the track.
Yeah, and you can build those bonds and you continue them throughout the years because, when you go to a track event and you have a failure, there's a whole group of people there that want to help you to get back on the track and not ruin your weekend. So, and you meet, those relationships stay with you, and that's something that I didn't even realize when I started to even think about going, is just the relationships which stay with you.
Exactly.
One for me is, I guess, is when you actually are able to go to these particular tracks, whether it's Road Atlanta, Mid-Ohio, Road America, Putnam Park, is the ones I've been to, is when you actually watch on TV and you see racers on there, you kind of get an understanding of what's going on, and also, you may see the driver take a different line than what you're used to, and you may want to try that next time. So that's pretty cool to actually be able to experience what they've experienced, probably not at the same level, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's a great point. You'll find out that if you're a motorsports fan now and you like watching races, whether it's Daytona or some of the other tracks that Jag mentioned, on television, or even at tracks you haven't been to, maybe overseas, once you've done some driving on the track and start understanding what it's all about, it'll greatly increase your enjoyment of the sport of watching. you'll be watching a race and you'll just enjoy it so much more. But at the same time, you're going to wish that you could be the one driving the car as opposed to just watching the race, because it is so much fun.
Yeah, and it's great when you can actually even drive it with your own car to experience that. You have a nice, really good bond there, and especially when you have tracks like Spa that's on public roads, or even Bathurst, which Boris actually flew out to Australia and drove it. It's just it's a wonderful experience.
It is very cool. We can continue going on with all the more reasons why we want to drive. Obviously, we're biased because we enjoy doing it. There could be a couple of reasons why maybe you shouldn't. Number one reason, it is costly. Especially if you want to go really fast. If you want to just enjoy and learn, you can do that with any car as long as it's safe. But it can get very expensive if you decide that you want to go really fast, because you're going to be spending a lot of money on tires and things like that. So make sure that you have the budget to do it.
Yep.
Also, track insurance. The car that I've been driving the last 4 or 5 years now, that I share with my fraternity brother, the E30, it's a $10,000 track car, and the two of us just have so much fun with it. So we don't insure it.
Yep.
Chances we haven't wrecked a car, but if something did happen, there's a possibility we could damage part of the car and the entire car, and we're prepared to take that risk.
Yep.
But if you have a very expensive car, I've had students show up at the car with a $250,000 Ferrari or McLaren. By all means, make sure that if you can't afford to wreck that car or get it repaired, if you do wreck it, that you get track insurance.
That's a good point.
So do consider the costs, and if you can't afford to do it now, consider doing it at a time when you can.
Yep. So there are definitely some cons, and that's something you'll have to think through by yourself. But for me, it was a lot more positives than negatives there. But I guess, Boris, what things should we'll hold that for the next episode.
Yeah, I think we've been going about 10 minutes already.
Yeah, so hit us up on tweet us or Insta us on any topics you want us for us to cover. But I'm Jag.
And I'm Boris.
And this is Track Tested Motorsports, and catch you next time.